All right, and we're live.
Yay.
Episode 74. We're getting up there.
It's a
Wow.
lot of episodes.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I count that high. 1, 2, 74.
Yes.
Never mind.
Sound like
Got
my
it.
3-year-old.
I know, right? I always tease my kids, some number like 10. You can't count to 10. And so, they'll count to 10 and then I'll be like, you left out 93, and then they all laugh.
Nice.
So welcome back, Derek. So you never told us, or maybe I missed it, why you were in L.A.
Vacation.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So my wife is from Cupertino, San Jose area, but she was technically born in Los Angeles, and her family is still out there in California. So we went out there to L.A. to spend a week at the beaches and other places, and a couple of days at Disneyland.
Nice.
So yeah, it was pretty fun. Had a good time. We got to do. See, we did. What was it? Huntington Beach, and Laguna Beach, and the Aquarium of the Pacific. Couple of other places that I can't remember off the top of my head. Spent a couple of days just relaxing, playing in the swimming pool at the hotel, going to parks, things like that. And then the last 2 days were spent at Disneyland, which was pretty fun.
Nice.
You neither have a tan nor are you burned.
I was both. I forgot to put sunblock on myself the first day there, which is the day that we went to Huntington Beach.
Oh,
And so
man.
I burnt to a crisp that day. It was bad.
Yeah.
So I started slathering on aloe lotion and sunblock after that. So my arms, you can't really see very well because of the camera quality
Ooh,
here.
look at those
But my
guns.
arms actually do have kind of a total farmer tan transition right here from the burn the first day versus wearing sunblock the rest of the time.
Is that a sick swan? I thought please somebody call a doctor.
What?
These swans are sick.
Nice.
Alright, that's what I've never heard before. That's
A little visual there.
I think I know what the title of this episode's going to be.
These swans are sick.
Oh, man.
Oh boy, that was good.
When I went to Aloha Ruby conference, we spent the day on the beach, my wife and I did, and I didn't put
Yeah.
any sunblock on. And then I had a 12 hours on the airplane, all sunburned.
Yeah.
That was no fun.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I managed to be out there long enough that I got past the horrendous sunburn before we came back. I still had some peeling on the back of my neck and a little bit on my nose yesterday, but not too bad overall.
Yeah.
Did you fly?
Hmm?
Did you fly or did you drive?
Fly. It's like a 30-hour drive from here. No way I'm driving that. Not with kids.
I literally have to climb up a mountain and stand in the full light of the sun for hours in order to get sunburned.
I have to go outside for about 10 minutes.
Yep, that's my problem.
Yeah, I think after my dad. My dad broke his arm a couple of years ago in a small accident with some construction equipment, and he had several pins put in his arm to hold the bone in place while he healed up. And 6 weeks after he got all that done, he went back to the doctor and got another X-ray done. And the doctor looks at him and says, "Your arm hasn't healed at all. I mean, not even the tiniest little fraction of it was starting to knit back together." And he looked at my dad and noticed that my dad was as pale white as I look in this video, and asked him, "Do you ever get out in the sun?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I work outside every day." "Oh, but you
Vitamin
wear
D
sunblock."
deficiency.
"Yeah, constantly."
Yeah.
"Because I burn if I get out in the sun for even 10 minutes." Like, "Oh yeah, you have a vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
Take these supplemental pills and your arm will heal up in no time." So he started taking vitamin D supplements and his arm was healed 2 weeks later.
That's one thing
Wow.
everyone should really get tested for is vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised. I was very low when I got blood tested, and so that's one of the pills I do take is vitamin D.
Mhm.
Yeah, I take a multivitamin just about daily, and it's got vitamin D supplement in it.
But yeah, because missing vitamin D can really mess you up in multiple ways. Like it
Yeah.
leads to depression. Plus, like you said, you don't heal, and there's all kinds of bad things.
Yeah. But it was a good vacation overall. The flights weren't too bad, except on the long flight from Los Angeles back to Dallas. My son threw up 20 minutes before we landed.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
He was dehydrated, and he watched 1.5 movies on my iPad and just got motion sick.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't know that people got motion sick on an airplane. Like,
Yeah, if you have motion sickness, any kind of movement where you can't see the ground level and have a steady, constant visual reminder of how fast you're moving, it can be really bad. And my wife is usually the one that feels nauseous first, but my son's had a history of motion sickness in the past on extended travel days,
yeah,
like driving in the car for 8 or 10 hours at a time. But
I love it when you're on the airplane and they start to pull out of the gate and somebody's like reaching for the barf bag.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, this is gonna be a long
long
flight
day.
sitting next to you.
Disneyland was surprisingly good for my son, though. He's got some special needs, development delays, mild autistic tendencies, although he's not technically on the spectrum. He has some sensory issues and difficulty expressing himself. He gets frustrated really quickly. And so when we got there, we went to the City Hall thing inside of Disneyland and explained his conditions and the problems that he has with large groups and standing in line and stuff. And they gave us what is effectively the equivalent of the Disney Fast Pass, except that they call it a disability pass. So you walk up to any of the info kiosks that they have, there's like 4 or 5 of them around the park, and you hand them your tickets, one for every person in your party, and you tell them what ride you want to register for, and they scan your tickets and register for the ride, and whatever the listed wait time is for that ride, you basically show up to the ride after that period of time has elapsed, and you get to walk right in through through the disability lanes,
nice.
which is usually the ride exit or the fast pass lane. So we did that the whole time, which was really nice because we got to relax and sit and keep hydrated and keep the kids full of food and stuff while the lines were going. We never really had to wait more than 10 minutes at any given ride, and most of the time it was less than 5 minutes using that. And then the restaurants there were all really good with food allergies. He's got a lot of food allergies along with his development delays. So they were really good about having all of their food allergy stuff listed. We got to talk to several chefs at different restaurants because of his specific allergies, and they worked it out for us to get food that he would eat and make sure that it was safe for him. So from that perspective, I was really pleased with Disneyland. They do a phenomenal job of making the whole place really accessible to people with disabilities and make it enjoyable for the whole family that's there with them.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. So yeah, it was a good vacation. Nice to get away. Nice to ignore work for the most part. I still did a couple of things while I was out. I had to publish a Watch Me Code episode. I think Verizon is going to shoot me or kick me in the face or something because I downloaded like 30 gigabytes worth of ScreenFlow files across my Verizon tethering while I was out there. I did that across one day, so I'm pretty sure Verizon hates me right now because I haven't paid. I'm paying $30 a month for unlimited data usage on my 15-year-old like 12-year-old Verizon plan. They've been
Boy,
trying
how do I
to
get on
get
your
me
plan?
They've been trying to get me to
Grandfather,
upgrade.
yes. You have to upgrade your
my
phone.
plan. Yeah, exactly. They want me to upgrade my phone so that they can upgrade my plan, which would end up costing me hundreds of dollars more every month. So
Yeah.
every time they try to do that, I'm like, nope, sorry, I'm not changing my plan ever. So I basically pay full retail price, $500 or $600 for my phones when I buy new phones, but it's worth it to keep the grandfathered unlimited data plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, speaking of which, I forgot to tell you guys. So remember, I was all like, "Oh, T-Mobile, awesome, unlimited data international."
Yeah, how's that working out?
Well, it's unlimited data international, 256K. So it's kind of a ripoff.
You can have as much water to drink as you want, one drop at a time.
That's right.
Every minute.
So it's like, because it's like, it's $50 a month for the line for unlimited everything in the U.S. and then international unlimited text and data. So I mean, that's at the surface level, it's a pretty good deal, and I guess it's okay. I mean, like, you can use Google Maps and like you look up some stuff with your cell phone and tether it like to your computer if you dare at 256K. It's like dial-up days, but I feel like I'm the kid with like the fastest modem, like like I've got dual line 128Ks. That's what, like that kid.
There you go.
Like, you've got your 56K baud modem, and I've got dual 128.
Yeah.
Any idea what LTE, like what the equivalent is? Because
I get when I have really good connection and I'm tethering on my phone, speedtest.net will report 20 megabit download and 6 megabit upload.
I think that's about what
that's faster, right?
Yeah, it's extremely high latency.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's super fast, and it gets
It's choppy sometimes.
varies a lot with signal quality, but on a good day at a good moment, it's pretty dang fast. It probably averages around half of that, but still, even 10 meg down and 3 meg up is pretty phenomenal for going through a phone. I remember when that was unheard of in a business. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like it's I mean, it's not a horrible deal, but here's the tip for traveling internationally. And I did this when I got into Ireland. Is as soon as you get into another country, just go to a phone store and just buy a SIM card.
Yeah. That only works if you have phones that take SIM cards, though, which Verizon phones don't.
Right.
Yeah, I've got an iPhone 6 that
even the Verizon iPhones, you put a SIM card in it and it just ignores it.
Well, yeah, because it's CDMA network. So, but if you do have phone with SIM card, which if you're buying your own phones, you can do that. The new iPhone 6 Plus, well, it should work if you like the new ones, because the iPhone 6 have CDMA and the other technology. They're compatible with either one, but you just have to unlock it. But if you've bought the phone, but anyway, so I mean, I went into a mobile store here, and 20 euro, I got a SIM card that works for a month. That's unlimited everything.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
So it's like super fast, totally worth it.
Yeah, that's basically what all of my coworkers at Telerik did for that year that I worked at Telerik. Every time we traveled anywhere, they would just buy a SIM card for a week or a month or whatever it was they could get the cheapest and do that.
I thought it was funny though, like the place I got the SIM card here, like one of the big mobile providers in Ireland is called the name of the store is 3, and I couldn't figure out, like, is it a joke? Like, why did they call it 3? Because everyone in Ireland says 3 tree. So it's like, so I'm like,
it's like an unpronounceable. It's like an unpronounceable word, basically.
Right? They can't pronounce it. They just say 3. So I'm thinking, like, did they do that as a joke? Like, is it funny because we say 3, or is it just like, I don't know? Are they just? Is it only just funny to me? But
there's a hilarious YouTube video I'll have to try to find. It's a skit where two Scottish guys get into a voice-activated elevator.
Elevator, yes.
Oh no.
I've seen that one. There's that one and the Scottish Siri video.
Oh gosh.
A Scottish guy with this ridiculously thick accent is trying to order a beer and a jammy Dodger, which is bread and jam. It's definitely not safe for work because of the language, but oh man, you'll be rolling on the floor. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not picking up new languages as I'm traveling, but I'm picking up new impersonation accents. So now I can speak a little bit of. I can't speak German language, but I can say Wiener Schnitzel. And I can't, and I have no idea how to say anything in Irish, which isn't really spoken very much, but I can definitely, say tree. As we all watch the YouTube video now.
Exactly. I'm pasting the URL for the Scottish Siri one in there now. I have to watch these. They're hilarious.
Yeah, so when we sign off, I'm going to be the last person on this call because I'm going to need those links.
Just click on them now so you can have the tabs open.
That's true.
That's true.
Great, now the ads playing.
Hangout is smart enough to open it in a new tab.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the right one for the video for the elevator. Yeah. So I'll have to. I think I'm going to watch that again. I could use that today.
Yes.
Nice.
It's interesting though. There are different accents like that. Like
in
Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Like down south in Cork, like those are the real deal. Like, we be speaking like leprechauns and.
Yeah, I had a coworker from Ireland. Oh man, it's like 15 years ago. And he had enough of an accent that you knew he was from somewhere in that area. But he was telling us once that the people that have those really deep accents are in the southern part of Ireland and are what Americans would call rednecks.
Yeah.
Or backwoods or whatever.
That seems to be true. Loggers. That seems to be true in a lot of places. Like here in Pittsburgh, there's a really thick Pittsburgh accent.
Mm-hmm.
And that some people have, but it tends to be what like our equivalent of rednecks.
Right.
And I know that's true in England too. I think from what I've heard that the people that have the really really heavy like the Cockney accent and stuff is considered uneducated.
Right.
Well, the other thing I can tell you that in Italy, the accents were derived off of their dialects, and so there is a lot of people that are essentially bilingual.
Right.
They speak the dialect and then they speak Italian because they learn Italian in school, and so the dialect basically boils down to which dialect they learned. And so the people who speak clear Italian are either from Tuscany, since Italian is the Tuscan dialect basically, or they have moved around a lot in Italy, and so they just never developed that thick accent.
I met Adi Osmani, who's a developer advocate at Google for Google Chrome. I met him when I was in London a couple years ago, and was talking with him, and suddenly realized that he has the most Middle America accent. Like you would never know that he was from London, except he says H instead of H. Yeah. That's the only thing that gives it away is when he says H. And so I asked him, you have this American accent. Where are you actually from? I thought you were from London. He's like, oh, I am from London, but I lived in the States for a couple of years, and I think one of his parents was from Missouri or something like that. And so he moved around a bit when he was a kid and picked up a very American accent, except for the letter H. So anytime it's HTML and HTTP and
nice.
It always throws me off. Other British people say H and I'm like, okay, it's just British, but it always throws me off when he says it because he sounds so dang American.
It's funny, like what we're talking about as far as accents. Like there's like you're saying, Josh, about like how sometimes it's associated, like certain accents, especially the heavier, stronger accents, are associated with being uneducated.
Right.
So I've actually talked to a lot of software developers and marketing themselves, and it's sort of an unpopular thing. But oftentimes I'm encouraging a lot of developers to like go through some voice training and to try and drop an accent.
Yeah.
Just because it does, it's like especially like there's certain groups and certainly like if your language pattern, if you grew up in a place where you're sort of speaking like Ebonics, that's going to be very bad for you, right? People are just going to assume if you sound like a redneck or a hick or something like that, that's going to be bad. If you have a southern drawl, that's going to, like, there's just these negative connotations. Even Indian, like if you have a very heavy Indian accent, it's going to be difficult, but it's kind of interesting. Like I think a lot of people don't consider that, but how much that makes a difference, like as far as impressions.
Yeah, I've had experiences like that here in Texas. There's a guy that I see around town that I know he's a web developer just because I overhear his conversations at coffee shops and other places around town that the technology people tend to frequent around here. And every time I hear him talking, I have this immediate assumption that he's just a dumb redneck because he's got this incredibly thick Texas drawl. It's kind of disturbing how my mind instantly goes to dumb redneck when I hear him talk. But when I actually listen to what he's saying, just overhearing his conversation, he's obviously a very intelligent person. And it really bothers me, and it makes me constantly wonder, what other assumptions and reactions and stereotypes do I have in my head that are just that, assumptions and stereotypes, and not based on the actual person or any real information other than assumptions and stereotypes.
And not to get all political again, but that's where I think a lot of people get this whole thing wrong, is exactly what you hit on. It's like, you cannot change your stereotypes.
Right.
Like your brain is such a powerful machine that it automatically makes split-second assessments and judgments about situations, conditions, visual,
and it
audio,
has to.
all
It's
that.
A survival mechanism. It has to do it.
Right. It has to. Like you wouldn't want it to not do that. It doesn't mean that you have to be a racist or a bigot. It just means that like you have to recognize that you have, like, you're going to have negative connotations towards. Someone can prove you wrong, but like trying to get rid of those is impossible because you can't help it. But on the other side, what you can help is to not play into people, because this is the thing. It's like so many people argue. They're like, well, why can't I just dress how I want to dress, and this is me? And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine, but people are going to stereotype you.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt you. Like, if you want to, like, be, not stereotype, best thing to do, regardless of your race, or especially, if you feel like you're being stereotyped on, is dress in a business suit, have, nicely groomed, short hair, speak in a northeastern broadcaster, right? You know what I mean? If you can, right? You know what I mean? Like all of those type of things are going to give you the most level type of possible playing field. But that's what you can control. But you can't control stereotypes.
Right. So, for those of us that recognize the problem, though, there's that quote. I think I've said it a couple of times on the show. I can't remember if it's from How to Win Friends or if it's from 7 Habits, but the quote is something like, the moment in between reaction and response, you have a choice.
Exactly.
So my reaction with this guy that I see around town is dumb redneck, but my response is, no, that's inappropriate. Wait, listen, understand the situation and the person, at least for a few moments, and then respond and figure out, is it my reaction or is it the situation or, what's going on. So I think there's a lot of truth in what you said about appearances and whatnot, but there's also a lot that we can do to at least mitigate the stereotypes from the culture that we've been inundated with.
Yeah. There's a really good IddyBiz, Naomi Dunford had a really good post a few weeks back about this whole issue, and like because a lot of people just, especially in a small business, they get into it because they want to just kind of be themselves,
Right.
And she has this whole post about, quote, letting your freak flag fly, as she puts it, and like the consequences of that. Like, you can do it, but don't expect to be able to do it without consequences.
Exactly.
Right. If you just want to be yourself, that's fine, but don't be shocked and hurt and angry when other people respond negatively to that, because it will happen.
Right. And there's also there's being the best version of yourself possible, right? It's like you don't just being yourself is not just talking about every opinion that you have unfiltered.
Oh, geez, yeah, I know that from first-hand experience.
That's I'm just being real. You're not just being real if you're just giving your opinions right.
Yeah.
That's like it's
had this coworker at a gas station when I was in college who was just an absolute asshole, just all the time. And our manager called him out on it one day, and his response was, "I just call him like I see him. I'm just being real." And, he's like this 45-year-old white dude from the middle of nowhere, Kansas, who is an ass to absolutely everyone because he thinks that being real and being honest all the time and spouting off all of his opinions to everyone is the right thing to do. And that's
yeah.
I've got a good quote for you. Let me see if I can find it.
Research break.
Yeah. I'll find it. You guys don't have to wait for me.
All right, so while John's looking up whatever, so I wanted to ask you guys, I've been sending people through this RabbitMQ patterns email course that I put together. I've had 120 people subscribe to that so far in a couple of weeks here, which is pretty dang good. I'm happy with the number of people that I'm getting subscribed to the course. I'm doing Twitter ads, spending like $10 a day, I think, and it's costing me about $3.75 per lead at this point. Out of those 120, 84 people have been moved into the follow-on campaign, which is the hard sales pitch. Of those 84 people, only a few have actually gone all the way to the end of it. Most of them are still sitting on the first email, but it's the numbers are increasing every day going through those 5 emails. But I've had essentially 0 sales from these follow-on emails so far. And I know 84 people is not a huge sample.
What? So walk me through the sequence. So the five.
So the first one is the day after you end the RabbitMQ patterns sequence. You get an email with a subject line.
How many emails was that?
That was 11 or 12 emails.
Wow. Okay.
Total. So this is like day 13 or 14 or something like that. So you get this.
Heard about the bundle before that?
Yes, there are multiple mentions of the bundle in the previous email series, including very specific examples of videos, quotes from a few things, mentions of screencasts, and links to the bundle page, which people have been clicking on. So people are seeing this stuff prior to getting to this sales pitch.
Okay. Any idea like how many of those 84 people have already seen?
No clue.
The page. Okay.
I don't know how to actually get that report out of Drip's reporting at this point. But so for the emails in the sales pitch, the first one is need help getting these patterns in place, and it's basically it goes through talking about how knowing these patterns is great, but it can be difficult and frustrating and time-consuming trying to do it on your own. Here's this bundle of screencasts and ebooks and everything that will show you how to get these patterns in place quickly. including a brief breakdown of what patterns will I see and what the contents are, and then a 20% discount code at the very bottom of the email. So that's the first email in the series. From there, it goes into the 3 emails that I had previously sent during my launch sequence, which were learn the how first, which is the screencasts. It talks about the what's in the screencasts. Learn the why, or the guide to why with RabbitMQ layout, which talks about one of the 2 ebooks in the bundle. And then the third one is now what, which I use the story of the Finding Nemo fish at the end of the movie. Now what? Having been dumped out into into the ocean and no idea what to do next at the end of training, at the end of these RabbitMQ resources. And so that's where the screencasts or the interviews come into play. And then after that, the very last email is last chance to get 20% off. So these seem like good emails to me. These are basically the same emails that I used during my full pitch and launch to my mailing list, which sold about 50 copies for the 5,000 people, which is roughly 1%. So at 84 people in this RabbitMQ for Devs follow-on, maybe that's a little too early for me to have a sale yet, but I was hoping and really expecting that people going through the Patterns for Applications email course would be more highly targeted, which would allow me to get a better percentage of conversions. So am I looking at this too soon, or is there something that I should look at fixing in this, or what?
I think you're looking at it a little too soon. I mean, then this is going to be, the product is around what, $200?
$250, yeah.
$250 with a 20% discount.
Yeah,
so.
it goes to $199 with that 20%
Yeah,
discount.
$199. I mean, to me, I would expect that you'd be somewhere, like if this was all tuned and humming along pretty well, somewhere in the 2 to 5% range would be really good. So and probably in 2 to 3% range would be good.
Right. So
yeah, with 84 people, it's a little soon, and they haven't gotten all the emails yet. And the one that really moves people generally is the takeaway at the end.
Right.
So how many people have gone all the way through it completely? Is it
all the way through? Where to go? Close the tab. Hold on. 10 people.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I think that letting a couple hundred people go through it.
Okay.
Before you make any judgments would be good.
Right. One thing that I'm thinking real quick is if you only have 10 people, reach out to those 10 people and say, hey, I see that you opened all the emails. I'd like to talk to you for 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Because then you can figure out what they're about and why they got on the list in the first place, and then you can say, okay, I'm not attracting the right people, or they're getting through the list, but they seem to have this confusion, and then you can go and tweak what you have.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
And 10 people for 15 minutes or a half hour each.
Yeah.
That's not a ton of time to get the kind of information you're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, assuming I can get them all to talk to me, but even if I can get a couple people to talk to me, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So then I was
send those emails personally, not through.
Yeah, definitely. So then I was also taking the idea that you had, Josh, on our mailing list about going into a sub-campaign from there about justifying the cost to your boss, because I think a lot of people are still going to see $250 as a huge expense that is hard to justify. And so I started putting together a sequence for that this morning, which again is based on emails from previous sequences. I'm taking some of the info that I used when I tried to sell that $1,500 version and repurposing them as justification for the $250 version, which frankly is making $250 seem like absolutely nothing. And why would you not buy this for $250?
I don't know if I would do that yet. Like, talk to the people first, because
I was gonna say the same thing.
I really don't think that's the, like, you have to overcome their objection, and I don't think that the number one objection is price.
Okay.
Like, because $250 is extremely cheap for something that's going to help you to work with the technology.
Well,
like,
we all see that, but I don't know. I'll have to talk to people about that. But in my own experience in looking at training packages like this, $250 is not insignificant until you understand the benefits and the value and everything that it will provide.
Well, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't keep that as in the back of your mind, but I think that talking to the people who've been, and even talking to some people who are currently in the in the sequence who haven't finished it yet, I would look to talk to 10 to 20 people.
Yeah, think of it this way: like, as an individual, yeah, $250 might be, but if you're talking about like convincing a company to spend $250,
that's part of the problem, though, is in my own experience in the past, talking with coworkers and myself, justifying $250 can seem like an insurmountable task at times, unless the boss already understands the value that it provides. And so these emails that I'm repurposing, I mean, I've got 3 out of 5 of them done already. So it's not like I'm spending a ton of time on this effort. This is a pretty quick thing that I can do.
No, but the thing isn't the time. It's if this is not someone's objection, and then you hit them with emails on this,
you're raising its objection.
You're not only raising the objection, but you're also going to wear them out too, right? So
well, the intention was to use it as like a PS in one of the emails and say, hey, look, are you having questions about justifying this to your boss? Click here to get these additional emails that will give you the justification you need.
That makes sense.
I want to challenge that a little bit, because the boss has to see the value, but in order for the boss to see the value, your customer has to see it anyway.
Right.
So I don't know that you need it in a separate campaign. Just maybe give them a few more tidbits of information and then just point out, look, if you can implement this and it saves you X amount on your server costs or X amount in your development costs, then it's well worth the $250 to pick up. And don't explain it like, why wouldn't you buy this, but explain it like, I want to give you this killer value. And so you're going to get $1,500, $3,000, $10,000 worth of value for $250, and I'm excited that I'm able to do this, and I get to feed my family, and you get all this value.
Right.
I mean, so coaching people who have to talk to a boss like this is a valid strategy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it's more to B2B. So I think, it's potentially calling it out specifically. If that's the main objection, if people are like, I want to buy this, but I just can't convince my boss to let me do it, then that's where then find a way to work that in for sure.
Right. I have had one person email me with that specific objection.
Yeah. Well, if it's if it's 50 or 60% of people are having that same issue, I know. For me, at my last job, it was or my second to last job, it was definitely a problem.
Yeah.
I would never have been able to get approval for this kind of thing. So. Yeah, it could be an issue, and I was actually to the point where I was just so beaten down about it that I wouldn't have even asked. If I wanted it, I would have probably just bought it myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Companies like it that way. Break your spirit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think stopping the guessing game here is because you're never going to guess right. There's so many.
True.
And the thing is, there's so many permutations of things you could try that until you actually know what the missing pieces are, then it's going to be pretty tough to to guess.
What's your open rate on the last email in the sequence?
Well, I've only had 10 people on, or for the main sequence.
For the one, because you said you had 82 people go through, so what was the open rate for those that they left?
Probably still pretty high, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, it's pretty dang high.
50-ish, 40.
Oh, let's see. The overall average open rate is 63%.
Yeah,
that's
great.
That's actually not that high though for a course.
It's higher than what I've seen.
So it ranges from the very first email is 81%, and the very last email is 46%. So 40 out of 86 deliveries on that last email, which is about right, honestly. If I look at my other campaigns, like my 5 rules for JavaScript, the average is 63% across the campaign, and with the 9 emails in there, it goes from 79% down to 56%, which I've had 2,000 people go through that one, so the numbers are going to be more stable on that one. I've only had 84 people go completely through the patterns for applications, so I'm sure those numbers are going to change a bit. That 46 will probably come up a little bit, but the numbers are what I expect considering the length of this email course.
What about the click rate on that last one?
10.5%.
10.5?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty good click rate.
Yeah.
So I mean, you still have a very small sample size, but
yeah, very small sample size. So these numbers are going to adjust. But in any of these emails that I have a link, there's the very first one has a 17% click rate. The middle email has 12.7%. And then the next 3 are 2%, 5%, and 3%, but then the last one is 10.5%.
Is this the one with the discount code?
Yeah, the last one is the additional resources email, which has a discount code for the full bundle, but it also has 5 other resources listed and links to all of those resources. So I did that.
I think, so far that's the only thing I hear that's not a good idea is. It sounds like that's the last time they see the discount code?
No, that's the first time they see the discount code.
Oh, the first time they see. Okay, yeah.
And then they see it 5 more times on its own.
Okay. So, and with only links to the sales page.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Then that makes sense.
Yeah, so that additional resources email is at the end of the main campaign. Right. But then all of the 5 emails for the sales pitches are in a separate campaign, and they only have links to the sales page and the discount code for that bundle.
Mm-hmm. And you're pulling people. Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely need to talk to them. I'm wondering about the source too. You said you're getting them from Twitter ads, like this.
Yeah, I'm getting people from Twitter ads, targeting the U.S., Canada, and major European countries that would be in our economic brackets.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, but I'd be curious to see if you ask people why do they not buy, essentially.
That's a good idea. I should.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Momoko about doing exactly that, anyways, and we're gonna get together in August to talk about. With the project with her, it's specifically to redesign the landing page for the sales for the product. Based on, we're going to do research with people that already bought, do some feedback from people that already bought, so we can get good quotes and things like that, and get the marketing page set up appropriately. But I like the idea of talking to people that have completed or are in the email course currently. I can do that on my own. That's easy enough.
Yeah, I think you need some more funnels into it as well. Besides,
I was going to ask about that as well as my next thing.
I mean, I think I don't know. For me, I would keep it simple right now, and stick with one.
I mean, if I can get the sales funnel to work from Twitter, I should be able to get it to work from anywhere, right?
Well, but Twitter's but Twitter's really hard.
Right. That's kind of the point.
Success from Twitter.
If I could get even one sale from this, going through Twitter, then it should be easier to be successful through other channels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently different or difficult about Twitter. It's just we did things that were wrong, targeting worldwide. I mean, so what you're trying to do here is sell a $250 product, so you have more money to work with. The problem we had really was that we were trying to sell, except for John, we were all trying to sell, a $22 product, which is just not ever going to happen with any paid traffic source. You're never going to make a profit with that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Except you could have done it. You could have done it with Google AdWords 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But with any paid traffic source, especially now, it's happening faster. Like what happens is the cost of clicks goes to the point where everybody's breaking even or losing money, and then it kind of stops.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point it's not worth it anymore. So you got to get it optimized pretty well, and then typically you need like a back end to make it profitable.
Here's one for you to write up a good blog post, like a guest post for Simple Programmer, and I'll post it on there. We could throw up do like an affiliate thing or something on there, and I think that'll probably be a decent lead source for you, because immediately you'll get good SEO on it because of the page rank. So,
well,
if you're interested,
you've already got links from Simple Programmer. Is this on Watch Me Code or
posted on Simple Programmer? I'll post it as a guest post.
Yeah, but I mean, he's already got. I don't know if it'll help with SEO, is what I'm saying, because he's probably already got links from Simple Programmer.
I don't mean SEO on his side. I mean my SEO for the article will pull in RabbitMQ people, which they'll
increase the audience potentially.
Yeah. So just make the whole post be a hook right into your email to get people to sign up for your email course.
Okay. I can do that.
But because I mean my audience would be interested for sure.
Right.
And that would work out for me too if we do an affiliate deal. And and I think it could be a good permanent stream for you. But not just me. You should try and hit other sites, especially anyone that is specifically RabbitMQ, and see if you can guest post.
Yeah. Well, I would say before. I mean, that's pretty cool with John. I'd say go for that. Right. But before you put a huge amount of effort into, more traffic, spend the time talking to the people through the funnel and figure out.
Improve the funnel and then improve the traffic. Because if I can get 1%, out of a conversion rate on this, then it's easily worth putting money into advertisement to get that to continue that 1%. Because I mean at $3.75. Well, I guess I would.
No, it wouldn't be. Yeah, it wouldn't be worth 2%. It. Yeah.
I would need 2% conversion rate at $3.75 per lead
to break even.
Yeah.
Or a little bit more than break even.
A little bit more. Be $500 for $375 spent.
Yeah, I'm just worried that I don't think that the Twitter traffic is a good source. I think that
I'm legitimately concerned about that as well. I'm going to let it run for at least another month, though.
Yeah.
Because I think, like Josh said, even 120 people is too low of a sample size at this point.
Why
for a new funnel?
What's different about Twitter, John? Because with my stuff, Sublime, I definitely have seen. I can't make money with it buying ads, but I've definitely built my email list almost entirely from Twitter and have sold quite a bit through that.
And I have as well. But it's different. I can't tell you exactly. I've got theories as to why Twitter ad traffic is poor quality, but I don't know for sure. But it doesn't matter if I know. All that matters is it genuinely, or is it generally lower quality? Like, do people that come in through a Twitter ad buy things?
Yeah, nothing I'm seeing indicates that it is. I mean, Facebook is the same way. You're still only going to get, a small percentage. It's not like you're going to get off of Facebook. You're going to get 25% of people buying. No, it's still going to be 2, 3, 4%.
Well, yeah, and I had the same problem with SignalLeaf trying to do Google AdWords. It was really expensive and really difficult for Josh and I to make that work for me. So we ended up abandoning it.
Well, but see, in this case, Google AdWords is probably going to be your best choice. Like, I mean, if you look at the spectrum of traffic, right? I think Twitter ads probably falls on the lowest side of conversion, probably of the quality of the leads, and then like organic, like people that come to Derek's blog or come through blog posts and find related content and then sign up. That probably comes next, and then I think the highest one in this case is probably going to be Google Ads, very targeted ads, because if someone is searching for RabbitMQ tutorial or how to learn RabbitMQ, or something like that, or RabbitMQ plus JavaScript, and then you have that, they're looking to buy at that point. So
they're looking for information.
Yeah.
Potential, yeah, that's true. But they're looking specifically for that information, which you're solving their problem. They're coming with a problem.
Yeah.
Whereas I think on the Twitter, I don't know. I don't know why Twitter Twitter ads don't seem to convert very well. But I mean, I've tested Twitter ads quite a bit with how to market yourself as a software developer, and I haven't had very good success.
Were you trying to get direct sales or trying to get your
sales page though?
I tried both. I tried directly to a sales page. I also tried.
Because I have great results getting people onto my mailing list with it, which is what I'm doing. Yeah. In this case, I'm sending people to the email course, and I've always had great results getting people onto the email list. And it's my mailing list that builds trust and eventually builds sales. Well, so I'm trying to figure out how to optimize the emails at this point, so that the trust is built quickly enough within the few weeks of these emails that I can make the sale.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, but it's still. I'm just saying that the source of the traffic does make a difference.
Like yeah, it does.
Like we know, for example, free giveaway is the worst source of traffic, right?
Yes, that's
like we've proven that. Not only has Josh proven that, but I've talked to several other people who have done giveaway contests and gotten a lot of email subscribers, and they just said mostly. I mean, they make some sales, but these are kind of the worst quality of people because they don't want to buy because someone who enters a free thing. That's just like you're racking the shotgun for the wrong thing. In that case, not that it's necessarily a bad thing. Like you could do giveaways, but you just have to understand that the quality source is not as high. And I think Twitter ads is again one of those where it's just not as high. For some reason, the type of person that clicks on a Twitter ad is not likely to buy, not as likely to buy as someone who goes to your blog or to who probably types in a Google ad, a Google search and finds an ad. So.
Yep.
Well, there's definitely with Google. There's definitely a huge spectrum too. I mean, there's buyer keywords and there's freebie seeker keywords on there too.
True.
So I don't know.
There's a real good book. That book Traction. There's two Traction books. The one that
good,
what's that?
They're both really good.
Yeah. I didn't like the other one that much, but I guess it's more like for a bigger company, I guess. But I did like, but the book I'm thinking of is the one that the one of the guys that created DuckDuckGo wrote, co-authored, and it's got Rob in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that talks about all the different channels. And so that would be something to try. Is to try like to go through there and go through the different channels and see which ones work best for this particular course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that there's definitely huge quality differences between different channels, but a lot of it also has to do with your targeting within the channel. So
Right.
I'm just I'm not necessarily disagreeing that Twitter is just crap, because I know I have heard a lot of people who have tried it and haven't been able to get it to work either. But the same goes with Facebook and Google, and so yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced yet that it's just always bad.
What do you think about this, Josh, about doing like a tripwire at the beginning of the funnel, and then that will give you kind of a real quick indication of the quality of the leads from the channel. So if Jarek was selling something like, as soon as someone signed up, they got an offer to buy this $5 cheat sheet, or maybe $5 cheat sheet that's going to guide them through the rest of the email course and give them like something that they can follow along with, or something that's going to aid them along with the course, then it'd be really easy to compare to different channels. Like he could segment those and then say, okay, here's the people coming in from Twitter ads, and like 10% of them bought this tripwire for $5. But then here's people that came in organically from my blog or came in from some other channel, and it's like 25% or whatever it is. Then you'd know pretty well. I mean, it doesn't necessarily translate into the final pictures.
The problem is with social media. So this is frustrating with social media advertising platforms, is that as opposed to like Google or search based, is it's so dependent on the quality of what you're getting is so dependent on a bunch of factors that are completely out of your control. So with Facebook, what typically happens is Perry Marshall compares it to, like, he says Facebook traffic is like quick hits of cocaine versus Google, because what happens on Facebook is you'll get like an ad that works like crazy for like a week, and then it dies. And so you don't. It's like you're constantly on this hamster wheel of coming up with new ads. This is why I haven't bothered with Facebook at all, because you need to have somebody to basically mother hen the thing the whole time, and just sit there and watch it and constantly feed it new ads and tweak stuff, and there's so many different targeting options, and it's just there's a lot of complexity there. And when you get something that works, it'll work like crazy for a little while, and then it evaporates. So people that are coming in from one particular ad might convert great, and then next week you run a different ad that targets the same people, and they don't convert at all.
Exactly.
And one nice thing about Twitter is that it's a little bit more controllable, because you're able to target people who follow specific people. And you can kind of, so you've got like these slightly more stable groups of people. But yeah, still at Twitter it's going to be the same thing. Like your ads, you've got to put new ads into the hopper every week to keep your click rates up, or Twitter just starts to put their thumb on the scale and push everything down. So the ad that starts to funnel is almost more important than this is your biggest variable. Somebody coming in from a completely different ad could have a completely different psychographic profile, and so it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do that kind of test, is what I'm saying, I guess.
So like, to give an analogy here, like, because I agree with what you're saying, but I think the analogy goes a little bit further. So like, there's different pawns, right? And Twitter's a pawn, Facebook is a pawn, your blog is a pawn, and then there's different lures that you use to attract the fish, right? Or different nets, or maybe nets with different size. Let's say lures, though, because that's and so what you're saying, Josh, is that, okay, it depends on the lure, and I agree, it totally depends on the lure, but it also depends on the pond. I mean, you can optimize and have the best lure for a crappy pond. Like, if the pond only has carp in it, you can have a really good lure, but you're only going to catch carp, right?
Carp
and
are
if the pond is
tasty,
just
right?
full of what's the good fish?
Tasty
Like,
sea
rainbow
bass.
trout.
Yeah,
I caught you a tasty sea bass.
That's a big pond.
Full of tasty sea bass.
Yeah.
Then even if you have a crappy lure, at least you're going to get, so it's like why do con artists from New Jersey go to Boca Raton, Florida? Because there's a lot of big fat fish there.
Right.
Right. So they don't even have to have good lures. So I don't know. So I mean, there's a combination. It's like, but I'd rather switch to the best fishing hole and first because I think it's hard to optimize the lure.
Well, the other thing is that I see is that the different ponds, the different fish are going to have different behavior. So if you're putting the ads out there with at the wrong times or in the wrong part of the pond, they're still not going to see it. So you may be in the right pond, you just may, they come out and they're active in the evening, and your lure is in the pond at noon.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying, John, and it's kind of it's very possible that that's an issue here, but I don't have enough data really to be able to say for sure whether that's true or not.
If you find a fat enough pond with fat enough fish, then it doesn't matter if you've optimized so much as long as there's enough food to feed you. You see, the
problem there is that, I mean, to keep using this crazy fishing analogy, is that there's going to be 150 fishermen at that same pond.
But it gets even worse when you consider the size of engine on your boat. Right. If you have too large of an engine, you're going to scare away the fish. But if you have too big of a boat and too small of an engine, then this analogy is going to get really confusing.
Yeah.
So.
But so there may be other people in those same waters. But the thing is that then it comes down to, are you solving the right problem in the right way, and do you have a unique enough selling proposition for them to pick you over the other people in that area? But one thing that I see is that, if somebody is consistently mining a community, and making money there, in other words, they continue to provide value to that community, and that community continues to buy, then if you can find ways to do the same thing in that same community, you may not even dilute each other, because you may be solving a completely different problem that the same community has.
Yeah.
So if there's money in that community, I mean, that's a really good sign. Somebody's in there making money. So, if somebody else is overfishing in that pond and they've got a big bucket of fish next to them, then you want to go fish in that pond.
Mm-hmm. True. And you could even become the cleaner fish.
This is actually a pretty good analogy. It can get pretty complicated, but
we should write a book. That's our next thing. Let's all together write a book called
Bad Software Analogy.
The Angler's Guide to Marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but make it completely allegorical, so you don't even explain what any of it means.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, you don't
literally write a book on fishing and claim.
Yeah, that's right. and then just see what people come up with.
It should be
Chapter 3 totally meant.
That's kind of
need to be on Facebook.
So Mark Twain wrote. I think it was Huckleberry Finn. He wrote a preface to that book and said, "Do not attempt to analyze this story. There are no moral lessons here. This is just a story." So one time I was at the library, and I was looking to get Huckleberry Finn out again because it was one of my favorite books when I was a kid, and right next to it was like this big tome that was like a literary analysis of Huckleberry Finn. I was like, oh man.
Did you not read the preface?
Yeah.
like the first 5 chapters of that analysis is analyzing the preface that said, do not analyze the book.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nice. Oh, by the way, I did find that quote for you guys.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Now that
we have no context for it.
Okay.
Half an hour later.
Rewind.
So what we were talking about, gosh, I don't
John can't remember the context.
Okay.
This gets better and better.
This is a good one. I have this hanging on my wall to make sure that
It's memorable too.
Yep. It's called The True Gentleman by John Walter Whalen. And it goes, the true gentleman is the man whose conduct proceeds from the good will and an acute sense of propriety, whose self-control is equal to all emergencies, who does not make the poor man conscious of his poverty, the obscure man of his obscurity, or any man of his inferiority or deformity, who is himself humbled if necessity compels him to humble another, who does not flatter wealth, cringe before power, or boast of his own possessions or achievements, who speaks with frankness but also always with sincerity and sympathy, whose deed follows his word, who thinks of the rights and feelings of others rather than his own, and who appears well in any company, a man with whom honor is sacred and virtue safe.
Well, that's basically just describes the antithesis of our society.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much none of that is valued anymore.
But I thought that was a pretty good. That's like a creed that I try to live up to, because I think it very much embodies exactly like what we were talking about before. Just this like about perception, and like if you want to be perceived exactly that way, in my opinion.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, well, there's a lull in the conversation, so I'm going to take over. I got Rails Clips launched.
Yay!
So far, I checked yesterday. I had 75 backers get in. I haven't pushed it a lot yet, so I only have one paid subscriber, but I have one paid subscriber!
All right.
Yay!
Yes!
So I announced it on the podcasts. I'm probably going to send an email out this next week to like the Ruby Rogues list and stuff and see who's interested there. I also sent an email around to all of the past Ruby Rogues guests and asked them to promote it. And so,
nice.
you know, I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. And a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I need something like this." So it's going to be. I'm really excited to see where it goes. But yeah, so I'm putting episode 4 up today, and basically before I announce it to everybody, there are a couple of issues I want to fix, and the first one is that when you sign up, you have to go back over to devchat.tv and sign out and then sign in order to get your subscription to stick. So I need to fix that. And then the other thing is that I want people, if they click on the sign up for the subscription link, if they're not signed in, to take them. Right now, the subscription page, you have to be signed into devchat.tv in order to get to it. And what I want to do is I want it publicly available and have them be able to enter their email address and password along with the other information. So it just creates them an account, signs them in, and then redirects them back to devchat.tv with a message that says, "Your subscription worked." So
nice.
So once I have those two things done, then we'll be going. But I'm already one episode ahead. I'm going to record 3 today, and that will put me 2 episodes ahead for next week when they get edited. And so I'm just going to try and get 1 episode ahead over the next several weeks. So
nice.
I'm super stoked about that.
Are you the only kind of game in town now when it comes to like independent guys doing Ruby? Because didn't everybody sell the Pluralsight?
What do you mean?
Most people did, but
For videos?
Yeah. Is anybody else doing video screencasts?
Abdi is still
Ruby
doing
now?
Ruby Tapas.
I thought he retired off in the woods somewhere. Is he still doing it?
He's still doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I talk to him periodically about it. I may do a cross promotion with him once I have like 10 or 12 episodes in the can, and I think he'll go for that.
Yeah, he did. We did that with Watch Me Code and Ruby Tapas.
Yeah, and I think that worked out well for you. I think there's a little bit more synergy between Ruby and Rails as opposed to Ruby and JavaScript, but. So I think that could really pay off for me too.
So I'm looking at your Rails Clips site right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how to subscribe or sign up.
Oh yeah, I need to fix that too. So if you go to one of the
one guy was just really super industrious. He probably had a spider. He pointed a spider at your site.
No, he Skyped me and asked how to sign up, so I sent him a link.
My gosh, nice. That's not scalable, Chuck.
I know.
Just so you know.
Yeah, that's true. I do need to get that on there. If you go to one of the paid videos,
that needs to be like big, giant on the homepage of the site. Sign up. I mean, if you look at Watch Me Code, that's like the very first thing you see is, you know, the one-liner sales pitch, a free sample video, and this giant get full access button to sign up.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I will do that.
Seriously, I have no clue. If I wanted to pay for Rails clips, I would have closed my browser by now.
Yep.
Yep.
But that is exciting. Yeah,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Having that first subscriber is like the most
killer.
amazing feeling in the world.
Yes. It's funny because it's like, it's only $10, but yes!
Exactly.
But
I totally understand that.
I like your button a lot, by the way, Derek. Get full access to 75 plus game-changing screencasts.
Yeah, that's totally Momoko there. She's done an amazing job on those little details and things.
It makes me want to click it just because it's like 75 plus for some reason. It makes me feel like
I can't say 75 plus. I can say 2. Because I have 2 pages.
Just say
full
all.
access to both game-changing screencasts.
In really big.
I mean, next week it'll be 3.
Just say all.
All
is good.
Full access to all.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to one of the paid ones, so number 2, I have to put number 4 up today, but number 2, there's a link there that says you have to.
Yeah, I clicked on number 3, and I saw that number 3 is free, and I had no idea that it was free.
Yeah,
I clicked it just because it was the latest episode. You need to have some kind of little marker in there, like a big free icon. Like again, sorry to keep saying about Watch Me Code, but if you click on the screencast menu for Watch Me Code and you type in free in the search, you'll see there's this nice big giant yellow free that comes up next to all of the free episodes.
Yeah, I'd be another technique would be like to look at what a lot of those stupid games that my daughter downloads on the iPad and it's like locked. Right, because it's so friggin' temp. Like I need to have that unlocked. So
like
if you
that's
show
true.
the page one that's locked.
Yeah.
I think that might motivate people.
Yeah,
That's a really good idea.
only show them that it's locked after they click on it.
Yeah. Well, that's
that's
what it does. If you click on number 2, like there's no indication that it's paid, but if you click on it, then it says you have to have a subscription for this.
Yeah. Show them an ad for Game of War or whatever, like some big graphic woman riding a horse that's a really bumpy horse, and then.
Yeah. But yeah, I need to make it very explicit.
Video of Chuck riding a horse on the ones that are paid when I'm not logged in.
By the way, I am curious. I think I need that button, the sign up button above the fold.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just front and center.
Yep. Yeah, and probably in the upper right corner as well.
Yeah.
Because that's people.
Yeah, I think I may rework the kind of the. So if you look at the page, there's the big image on your right, and then there's the text on the left, and so or the text on the right and the image on the left. So I may rework that a little bit so that there's a.
You may also want to reconsider the navigation menu on your site, because look at the link that I just pasted into the chat window. That navigation menu is completely out of my vision. I don't even know those exist.
Which one's the one at the top right?
Yeah, the top right and the top left. They don't exist because they're so far out of the center of the screen where all the content is.
You've got a wide.
I have the Apple Thunderbolt monitor, which a lot of developers have.
Yeah.
I didn't know those existed until Josh mentioned them a second ago.
So are you saying just bring them in?
Yeah, bring them into the center along with the rest of the content.
Make them sparkle.
No, it should.
I want dancing hamsters and other animations around your menu so that I'm always looking at the menu.
One
sorry.
One thing I would do is make it so that, like, when you make the buy button, like, for this particular kind of site, I would think that would be nice is if it's like get full access now, and then when you click it, it's an overlay that pitches it and lets you sign up. like a step by sign up, and then you can use that same overlay for when someone clicks a paid video, and anything they can't access for the site, that overlay would come up, would be the same one as the purchase.
Oh, right.
They're constantly being hit with that, and that overlay is essentially an ad that's really like encouraging them to sign up.
When I was at Jackabout, we used Criticism for the iOS and Android crash symbols, and it was so obnoxious. Their strategy was the entire interface was enabled, but then if you clicked on anything that was paid, because we were on the free plan, if you clicked on anything that was paid, their sales team would get an email.
Nice.
And they'd immediately start hounding you. It was hilarious. They're like,
oh man,
looks like you wanted to use, XYZ feature. Well, and then they'd start hounding you to get on a call with them. It was pretty obnoxious.
I like the subscription form pop-up. I may have to rework how the subscription stuff works, because it's over in the account service, not in the main application. But I could just make an API call or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Cool. Well,
congrats on getting that launched, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you guys just gave me a whole bunch more work to do.
Of course. That's our job. What do you expect?
Yeah, but I think all of those things would make it better. So I think you're right.
Totally.
Yeah. Did you make any moves on the consulting front?
Yes. The same email that I sent out for, I just mentioned Rails clips really. I also said I am looking for Rails companies that are, having trouble with testing.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just explained briefly that I've done that kind of training at a few other companies. And I have the workshops all put together, and they know who I am. So yeah, I took all of the other stuff out of there.
Yeah.
And then I figured that they can just, they can do the math, and I gave them a pretty clear idea. Look, if if you're not sure and I also put in there, if you're not sure if they're looking for testing help, then put them in touch with me, and I'll make sure that it's a good fit. So.
Yeah. Cool. Any responses yet?
Not yet. I sent it yesterday morning.
Okay.
So I don't know if they've all seen it. I've gotten a few responses to the other parts of the email though. So we'll see how that works out. I'm probably also going to email the Ruby Rogues episode subscribers for that too, but I don't want to do like pitch after pitch after pitch on them.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna send them the Rails clips pitch first, unless maybe I should get all this stuff done and then do that. And so maybe I'll send them the other one first and just say, hey, look, if you work for a Rails company that's struggling with testing or anything like that, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely my opinion on it, but I would definitely optimize towards the Rails clips. Like you want to get your strongest pitch there, because this is really a temporary patch. Like unless your heart is invested in going down this road and doing consulting on Rails testing, but.
Well, this was more a quick fix to get out of financial problems, though. Which, for a quick fix, doing a couple of highly paid gigs over a month or so is going to be a much more financially viable option than the long game of Rails clips right now.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is you're going to survive through this. Like, if you were in a different position where you weren't bringing in the kind of revenue that you're bringing in monthly, then I'd be much more like, go and make sure you live. But I don't think that you're gonna with the amount
but the issue is that I don't really have good prospects for income for the next few months.
I see.
It's the end of September is when those sponsorships start to come in and everything the ship starts to right itself. But I need to figure some stuff out in the meantime. So.
But I would focus more on that though, on getting.
I would actually say the other way around, because because Rails clips is, like Jarek said, is the long game, and you're going to be talking about Rails clips for the next 3 years. 3 years. who cares if you get, if you send that email out this month or next month, the difference in income to you is like hundreds of dollars, if
Yes.
that. So
yeah, probably.
So I would
further
push
out
on
I
this.
go. Like pushing it off a month doesn't push other people off hearing it a month.
Yeah.
Eventually word of mouth and things like that are gonna.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just whether or not you want to invest. Like, I'm not talking about Rails clips necessarily. Like, I mean, that's where you're hopefully going to make more money. But your existing business that's most profitable, that requires the least amount of effort to maintain profit, is the podcasting business, right? I mean,
But that money doesn't come in for another 2 months, which is the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, but you get monthly. I mean, you.
No, the subscriptions are quarterly.
So the monthly.
So I got all the money now.
So what do you project your monthly revenue for next month? Because I mean, I think I heard you say the last like 2 or 3 months your monthly revenue was something like 20 to 30K.
Yeah, but I had a client that was paying about 15K of that, and I don't. Have
that's the piece I didn't get.
And I'm trying to get
I'm like
come
trying to
back.
figure out like what the heck, Chuck?
Yeah.
Like I just want to. I felt like smacking you because I was like, how are you making 20 or 30K a month from your business and you don't have money? Like, what are you doing?
But he bought 5 pieces of real estate on your advice, John, and he has no money to pay.
Right. And I still don't have renter
leverage to the hilt.
If half of your income was coming from a client for the last few months, that totally makes sense. Then you're working with a much. Then I'm in more agreement with doing the consulting to get you by. I still don't think you should invest much into it long term, but it makes more sense to me now. Before I was coming from the place like thinking that, okay, if you're pulling in like 20, 30K on your podcast and your other stuff, like what the heck?
Yeah, like, I think we had this conversation on the day that you joined in an hour late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why.
I'm also thinking about doing the same workshop just here in Salt Lake City.
Right.
And just, booking tickets for $200 or $250 a seat for a day or two.
500.
500 for 2 days?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
For sure.
Sounds good to me. Sell 20 seats.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then I could just do it. I mean, there are a couple of places I can do it here, so.
Well, if you're looking at renting a facility to do it, $1,000 a seat.
Well, there are a few places over here it would cost me a few $100s to rent a.
Because every time I talk about on-site training, or even sorry, not on-site training. Every time I talk about training classes where you travel to the place to do training, I think about a particular company in Austin, Texas that I'm pretty good friends with, and they charge like $1,500 to $3,000 for 2-day training, where you fly in, you have to pay for the hotel and the airplane, and you still pay $1,500 for the 2-day class, 3-day class.
Right.
Of course, that something like that. In order to charge that kind of rate, you can. I'm sure Chuck could do it, but it probably takes a little bit more of a runway to fill those.
Yeah,
seats,
I need a bigger mailing list and things like that to make that happen.
Yeah.
So if you want to sell seats, like 10 seats in the next 2 weeks, I think $500 makes sense.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I'm going to keep pushing the consulting stuff, but besides emailing my network and emailing my mailing lists and mentioning it on the podcast, I'm not sure how much more I can do to get clients in the short term that I need to get them in.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing you could do is to use your freelancer podcast connections, because that's your and basically email them and offer a referral fee to them, like because that's like the perfect, right? Those are the people who have potentially know who needs work and have potentially extra work, and if you can dangle something in front of them, an easy 20% or so finder fee, that would probably give you some real quick leads.
Should I bother the Rails or the Ruby Rogues guests again and offer them the bounty as well?
I was going to say, you know what you could do would be, I'm assuming you sent that out from like your email software, Entreport. You could make it look like, so one thing I've been doing lately, like when somebody doesn't respond to me, one little trick I picked up is to reply to the email and just add something. So, like, I kind of meant to mention, XYZ, and make it something really interesting and enticing. So I actually try to keep something like that in my back pocket for follow-up, so I don't shoot all that stuff into the initial email. So you could actually just in Entreport, do old subject line, and then do the quotes at the bottom so they see the original thing. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, but I am also going to give you a 20% finder's fee, whatever.
Right.
And see if that lights up the inbox a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I like the idea of reaching out to the Freelancers Show folks because not all of them are going to know people, but a lot of them are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are people that were involved in Rails or are involved in Rails, even if they're not programming in Rails right now. They have companies where they're paying somebody else to write Rails or things like that. So. Yeah. So I'll definitely do that, but that hardly fills up my time. And Rails Clips is filling up less and less of my time just because, I'm getting better and better at doing my research and doing the videos. So the other thing that I've been looking at doing is putting together a couple more remote conferences, and I can have Mandy do most of that work, and then I just set the early birds for like a week before I need that money.
Right.
Now you're trying to. So if I understand correct, you're trying to fill your time. Like,
I'm trying to get that income level up.
Yeah.
And so this is just another thing that I think I have time for that I've been wanting to do anyway, and it was kind of the next thing on the list. Now that Rails Clips is taken care of, I can follow up with these people in my network for the consulting thing. I can follow up with potential sponsors, and so I can dedicate a little more time to this next thing. And if I can get the word around on those, then I can actually, I can get the sales up, and I can, get people filling out calls for proposals and stuff like that. And if I can get, $5,000 in sales, in ticket sales between now and mid-August, then that solves a big chunk of this problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was going to say, like, the biggest thing, I was just asking that because the biggest thing that I think, in my opinion, of your leverage point right now for long-term and even for short-term is getting sponsorship, making sure that all your sponsorship spots are filled, and getting a real good system in place for doing that so that you could hand it over to someone else, and then you would never have to worry about that again because you always have like X amount of sponsorship dollars per month that is pretty much guaranteed, and that only goes up after time. Because once you get that like really well established, I think that's going to be like your main the biggest thing that's going to be steady income for you that will grow.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have another podcast that's starting. They're recording the first episode next week. The reason that I had to think about the details is because I'm not actually involved in organizing it or recording it.
Nice. But it's part of your network.
Yes, it's part of the network. Okay. It's a web security podcast. So,
hey, is Troy Hunt going to be on that one?
I don't know. I'll pass that along to AJ.
Oh yeah, you should definitely get him on if he's not like as a panelist.
Yeah, but so get a few episodes of that one out, and then I'm going to go solicit sponsorships for that.
Nice. Because
there's a whole suite of stuff that people can use for security.
Yeah.
Web security, server security, buying SSL certificates. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So.
See, I would totally try to as much as possible do those type of things. Like keep your focus in, because that is the thing that you have more developer podcasts than anyone. Like I don't know, no one else has more than you, right?
5x5 might.
Not for developer. They have more, but not developer focused.
Yeah, I don't know how many of them are developer centric.
And so the more that you grow that, like that's where like every unit of effort you put in there is multiplied by X, and that X keeps on growing as your network grows. So that's, to me, that's like the clear, like, put.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so AJ's looking at doing one on web security and then on Golang.
Nice.
And I have been looking at a few other people. A lot of people have been asking for a Clojure podcast and a Python podcast, so I've been trying to find people to run those.
I've got someone for a Python podcast for you.
Oh, good deal. I've got a local guy that sounded interested, but when I said I actually need somebody to actually run it, he wasn't interested in that. He was interested in showing up every week, which is totally cool, but...
yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if the person I have for you would be interested in running it or not. But
yeah, well, what I really need to do, and I'm working with AJ on this, but what I need to do is I need to pull together something that basically says running a podcast means doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they can look at it and they can say, so instead of it being this intimidating thing, it's, oh, okay, I can find guests, I can set topics, and I can find a panel to show up to get it started.
Yeah.
And then I can be in charge of recording it every month, and then if you want Mandy to edit it, then you have to be willing to pay for that until we get sponsors.
Yep.
I mean, once I get to the point where I can actually cash flow that, I might be willing to, pay for the production of it for the first few months, and just make that part of the deal too. But then it's like, look, if we don't have enough sponsors to cover it after that, then it's dead.
Well, you could do like the whole Stack Exchange model, right? So they had all these Stack, what do they do? Like they had like all those different exchanges, right? Communities, and then the ones that like flourished, they backed, and then the ones that didn't, they just killed off.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the way that I would do it.
Yeah.
So I'd give it a couple of months to take off. The other thing is that nowadays when I start a show, I mention it on the other shows, and it immediately picks up listeners like that. So
that's interesting. I wonder if there's some model too that you could do to. Well, I guess that's kind of like it, but like I'm thinking for other podcasters, like developer podcasts, if you could somehow bring them into your network, and then what's the benefits of joining your network? Maybe you charge them some kind of fee. You offer them some level of service that you charge them for if they want it, and you take some percentage of their sponsorship dollars, or you find the sponsors and then they get some percentage of the sponsorship dollars. Because I'm even thinking like Get Up and Code, right? Like if you had something like that, I would like to hand it over to you to have you set it up so that it's like a panel, and then I just show up and I have like part ownership of the podcast, or we have some kind of arrangement. If you could figure something like that out, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think actually you going after the sponsorship would probably be better, because that's the pipeline for the money.
Yeah. Well, and I already have more or less a system. I'm still formalizing parts of it, but for the most part, it kind of works on its own, and I am almost to the point where I can hand it off to somebody else. But so some of the initial work, just because I know the industry better than whoever I'm going to hand it off to, be that Mandy or somebody else. I'm probably going to say, here's a list of companies that you should approach.
Yeah.
But we can just figure that out. But yeah, I mean, I can provide hosting, both web hosting and media hosting. Just because I have things worked out to where that doesn't cost me a lot, and so I can just provide that. And then I can help find sponsors. I told AJ that I was willing to go 70-30, so I just take 30% on the sponsorships. And that was after whatever costs are incurred. So if he wanted Mandy to edit the episodes, for example, then I would take 30% after we paid Mandy.
Oh, interesting.
Out of the sponsorships.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. That I think you could approach some podcasts out there and get them to come into your network with that kind of a deal.
There are a couple of topics that I want to. Yeah, there are a couple of topics that I want to pull in that have podcasts out there, but I don't like the podcasts that are out there.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. One of them that I really like is it's a DevOps show. I forget what it's called. But the problem is they're not consistent in the release cycle.
But you could make them be you could help them to be consistent, because if you have I think a lot of the trouble is if the services that would be useful would be
but I don't want to be there every week to make sure everybody shows up and records a show.
No, but if you have your team, if you have you're building your team, thinking about how this could potentially work. If you basically had it as okay, your team is sending out the email to everyone to let them know what time it's scheduled. You've got guests that are you've got someone doing research to find guests and talk to them, or to ask people who are panelists who do you think would be guests, and then that person reaches out for them. So everything is kind of lined up, so they just have to show up at a certain time and be there, and basically as little friction as possible. Then I think that you might be able to get these podcasts to be more consistent as well. So
the other thing is that I can see that, and I've seen other podcasts that this has happened to, but 5x5, for example, has actually adopted podcasts, and so I'm wondering what they're providing other than hosting and stuff. But the changelog, Mac Power Users, those both used to be out on their own, and they kind of came into the fold, and so I'm wondering.
Chuck's going to be the Rupert Murdoch of the podcasting. Just buy up all these small podcasts and form his huge chain.
Well, you could really.
No, because I'm providing them with a service basically.
Yeah.
And then they get the benefits of being part of the club.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll be able to hit major advertisers, because you'll have a media empire that essentially you could basically tell advertisers then you could hit really large advertisers, because you'd be able to say, look, I've got 20 podcasts that every week I've got this much space, you can have 1 million downloads a week. The listeners to an ad. So if you buy an ad with me for X amount of dollars, it goes to all these different podcasts.
Right.
So
that makes sense. The other thing that I'm wondering about, and this goes back to the layout on devchat.tv, since we're talking about bringing in more shows, there are 7 shows on there listed right now. And you have to scroll down to see them all. And so I'm wondering, if I add 8, 9, 10, 11, you're going to have to scroll to see them all. Should I be looking at rearranging my page?
Yes.
So that they're, I don't know. So something more like what 5x5.tv has. I don't know what twit.tv looks like.
I'd go for the 5x5 approach.
Like the tiled.
Tiled with the icon for each one. And if you want to have a description and most recent show, then give somebody a pop out when they click on an individual episode or something. But I think even that would be overkill. I would have the tiled approach, and when they click on Ruby Rogues, it takes them to the Ruby Rogues page, which has all of that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
I think the question here is, what is the audience for this site, though? Because to me, it kind of sounds like, as over time, the audience, this is going to become less and less of a consumption navigation site, and more of the hub for you to promote this network to advertisers. So in that case, the homepage probably should be more about what the advertisers want, and then, our network. And
then have a shows page or something where you can go and see all the shows listed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if you go look at twit.tv/shows, of course, if you click it does shows_active=1, so I'm assuming that their dead shows don't show up. But yeah, so they've got 2 columns, and they've got an image and then an explanation and hosts.
that's a really ugly, horrible layout. I mean, not just talking about the site design. It would be it's just confusing. There's far too much. There's just a ton of visual confusion with all these logos and this haphazardly, awkwardly word-wrapped text and spacing that's inconsistent in between these icons. And I wouldn't do the descriptions and hosts and stuff like that. I would do the very clean, simple tiles the way 5x5 does. It's so much easier looking at the 5x5 site than it is looking at twit.tv.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
those are things that you don't need to worry about right now because that's
true.
Work. You have other more pressing concerns before then.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm also trying to decide then if I get to that point, or when I get to that point, not if, but when I get to that point, do I need to redesign my website? Or do I just kind of rejigger and reposition and resize stuff?
Move things around until you see that you can't anymore.
When you get to that point, you should be paying someone else to make that decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
So I think that's the path of least resistance. Is like get so big to the point where, and you can still grow, where that's like someone's job is to do that for you.
Right.
Okay. That's fair.
And if you're talking about 30 or 40,000 of income every month, then that's pretty easy to pay somebody else.
Yeah.
It's funny. I feel like we're all like progressing levels and then like going down class trees.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, like Chuck, you're becoming a podcast, like a podcast media mancer, and like Derek is becoming a video whatever, and Josh is becoming a copywriter, like
mage,
gnome, yeah,
Gnome.
gnome. There you go.
Yeah. And I guess I'm becoming a soft skills, or just a permanent, like a vacationer or something like that.
A permanent vacationer.
Yeah.
John is a professional vacationer.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because we're talking about some of the financial stuff that I'm dealing with, and I have felt for the last few months that I'm, how when you see things take off, they don't show you that dip right before you know.
Yeah.
And I'm right here in the bottom of the dip. I'm just trying to come out, survive till it, takes off again. So, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, man.
So those are my plans. My big plans.
Yep. So is this the time of year where people stop spending money again? Because my subscribers on Watch Me Code have dipped below 350 again.
That was the pitch that you guys gave me when I didn't get the sign-ups for Ruby Remote Conf.
Yeah. It is summer vacation time, so it does. It certainly does influence.
I was three months ago. I was at 375, and now I'm below 350.
It's just the season when all the credit cards expire.
Yeah.
It's always the season when PayPal randomly cancels subscriptions for you.
Gosh.
Hate PayPal.
It's always the season when PayPal randomly screws up subscriptions one way or another.
Yes.
Oh, so I didn't mention. I got my. I sent the email, but I got my royalty statement for Soft Skills, my first full quarter.
Yeah.
Q1 to be January, February, March of this year, and it's about 9K is my cut. So
nice.
That's pretty good.
How sustainable is that looking? Is that going to be? Were there any pushes, big marketing pushes in that?
No. I mean, well, there was the launch. I mean, essentially. Well, this was after the launch, I guess, because this was January. So I mean, this is shortly after launch.
Yeah.
I think that it'll do 5K a quarter. Like, I think that's a pretty solid, stable income from it that it'll end up hitting, and I think it'll stay there because it's sort of a timeless book. It's still selling just about as well as it was before, and so that's.
So you think word of mouth is going to keep it going?
Word of mouth also being
Just
up in the
Amazon.
charts.
Yeah.
And then also that it's on my site, that there's constantly, I'm getting 4,000 new visitors a day to my website, and in my email courses it mentions the book. So I think there's enough to just keep it selling. I also found out that with the book, my funnel, for some reason, like Optimized Press or something, or maybe when that Joker was working on one of my sites, he messed it up. But I wasn't collecting email addresses. Like the book thing wasn't working. It worked for a while and then it stopped working. And I'm like, why has no one signed up for this thing? So I went and I fixed it, and now I have a bunch of people signed up. So I probably missed out on quite a few people that were coming through that funnel. And no one really complained about it. Like, a couple of people said they couldn't get the free chapter, but I figured it was, at first I was brushing it off and figuring it was because they were already on my list. But no, it was broken. So it is working now, and I have people coming through. So
that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, but at least that was the problem. Like, at least it's fixed now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the book, I mean, it turned out to be pretty good. I didn't expect it to sell as well, to actually make money. But especially when you see all these authors, technical authors, post their like copies of their royalty checks, and they're like, I got $5.
Yeah.
So and everyone's like, oh, it's impossible to make money selling a technical book traditionally published.
Well, you're not selling a technical book.
True.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the trick. That's the way to make this stuff work. Like the niching down and doing something specific to a technology works to some extent. Like, you'll make some money doing that, but if you want to make a decent amount of money, you have to be something that's cross-cutting.
Yep.
In a small niche like this. But yeah, that you'll probably make well, I mean, if it's sold 5K a quarter for 5 years, that would be well worth the time you put in.
Yeah, it's already pretty. I mean, I've already made like over, I guess if you count the royalties, like it's probably close to 15K.
Yeah.
That I've made from the book. So that's not bad. That's already pretty close to like worth the time.
Yeah.
So I think over the lifetime of the book, it could pull in over 100K. So
Nice. Yeah. That'll be like the 1% of all books probably.
True. The audio version should be coming out soon too. So that'll be good. Hopefully that'll sparks a bunch of sales. So
nice.
I did the Dublin meetup last night too, and signed a copy of the book, so people are buying it. That was pretty cool. But I drank a little bit too much, ruined my day today.
It's Ireland, man. You're supposed to.
I know, but I hardly ever drink. Like, and if I do drink a beer, like I drink one beer. But last night everyone was buying me beers, so I was like, it was fun. It was great, but
I have this odd thing. I don't know exactly why, but I never drink more than 2 beers in a given day or night or whatever. Talk about whiskey, that's a different story. But with beer, I can't handle more than 2 beers in a night, and I'm really gone. But I can drink whiskey like water.
Yeah, it's weird for me. I used to drink more, but I just don't like. I mean, it's from the fitness side, like it's not worth it.
Right.
And then like I'll have a glass of whiskey like every once in a while, like that's what I'll drink. But then also for me, I've found as I've aged, and I don't know if it's just a perception thing, but I can drink a whole lot. Like I think I drank like probably like eight beers last night, like full, half pints, and like two shots of whiskey, and I was not like drunk at all. Like I was just perfectly. But then the next day, I get hit hard.
Right.
Which is weird because like I mean, when I was younger, like I would have been totally wasted from drinking at night and had a hangover the next morning. But now I don't seem to get like inebriated, but I end up getting like just feeling horrible the next day. So it's not worth it. It's like you don't get any of the good benefit. Yeah. So I just try to avoid it now. But it was pretty cool seeing the Dublin scene and going to different pubs there. Pretty interesting. Like crazy amount of drinking that Europeans do. They're just nuts. They like drink at every single meal and they just get totally shit faced. Like there are people falling down, couldn't walk out of the pubs, like just falling down in the street. I'm like, what the heck? The bartenders never cut anyone off, I guess. So it's kind of crazy. But a lot more civil. Like people are used to holding their liquor, I guess. Like there weren't fights and stuff like there would be in the U.S. So. Yeah. And the turnout was about 11 people, I think. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for that kind of meetup? Because one of the folks on Ruby Rogues Parlay is pulling together a meetup when I'm going to be in Dallas. So I just told him to find a place. I told him what time. And then I said, yeah, tell everybody.
So what I did for these last two is I tried to meet up at a location. So like for Berlin, I met at a subway station that was near me. Mm-hmm. And then for Dublin, I met at the entrance to Temple Bar, which is like a kind of famous bar in Dublin.
Okay.
And then once we get there, depending on who shows up, I just ask the locals where is the best place, where should we go, and then this way, because I'm not picking a place in advance, I'm not trying to make a reservation and stuff. I mean, if it's big enough, if you have like 20, 30 people, then I suppose you've got to have it a little bit more planned out. But for like 10, even probably up to 15 people, I think you can kind of just, to me, it makes more sense to just go with whatever they were. Especially in Europe, I thought that made sense because I didn't want to try to pick the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you show up with like 50 people at Olive Garden unannounced,
yeah,
that might not work out too well.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to think about the size. If it's going to be like 50 people, I mean, you won't even be able to really do a restaurant at 50 people. Like you'll have to like find some kind of like other venue. I don't know. I guess you could rent out a room or something at a restaurant, or not. I guess they would cater an event. I don't know. I have no idea how to do a large one.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, I'll take all that into account. I've looked at doing it when I go to conferences, like to rent a room at the conference center and have some food catered and stuff. And that gets really pricey, but so I would only do that at like a RailsConf or RubyConf or something where people were already going to be there and I could get a whole bunch of people to show. But,
yeah.
All right, cool. Do we want to talk about the retreat for a minute? Because I don't think we're going to get that same place that we were looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. We'll find some place, right? Like you got to get people.
I don't know.
What were the dates again?
Like
was the
12th or the 16th or something?
12th, yeah, something like that.
I mean, I'm legitimately concerned about finding a spot that would house everybody in separate bedrooms.
Do we?
Well, I just
don't think we need to worry about separate bedrooms, right?
Yeah,
Why
I'm thinking
wouldn't
separate
we?
beds.
Separate beds, yes. But like bunking up for like a couple of days is probably not going to be a issue.
Nobody's going to want to bunk up with a guy that snores like I do.
Well, we can make it like you can sleep outside.
There you go. Yeah, so there is another place. I think it costs a little bit more than the other place did, but anyway, and there it looks like they're pretty close to the ocean, so.
Let's let's put that as an example place. Like we're probably going to but let's not commit.
Yeah.
This is absolutely because we need
agree.
to get money first, and then know how many people, and then
True.
Then we can decide on the place for sure.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure the email goes out this Tuesday.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, there are a few other places that look promising, but there aren't many that have actually 14 beds in them.
Yeah.
So they say that they'll accommodate that number of guests, but they only have 10 beds or something.
But do they have pull-out beds or
I don't know.
Or couches? We can. I'll sleep on a couch. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, we'll have to figure that out then.
Anyway.
I got to jump on a call here in a second.
All right, cool. Was there anything you needed to talk over, Josh? We kind of took over the conversation there.
That's all right. No, I mean I've kind of had a up and down week, a little crappy. I'm kind of down right now, but it can wait.
You should go watch a video about Scottish guys in an elevator.
I think that will help. Yeah. I think that will help.
All right, cool. Well, I got plenty of homework for me, so.
Yep. I gotta go figure out how to talk to people that I don't know.
We've got to. We'll have to optimize for Josh to talk first on the next.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to remember that. In 2 weeks, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in Dallas for Podcast Movement. I already paid for the airline and for the hotel and everything, the conference, and so there's no reason not to go at this point. So.
Right.
All right.
How long are you going to be around?
I'll be there for 3 days.
Is that the all conference time?
So I fly in on the 30th and I fly out on the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And the conference is the 31st, 1st, and 2nd.
Oh, okay.
So the meetup is going to happen on the 30th in the evening. And then I don't have anything planned the Monday of the 3rd, or the morning of the 3rd. I fly out at 2:30 in the afternoon, so.
And that's a Monday, you said?
Yeah.
I might drive up and hang out with you.
Hey, that'd be cool.
It's only a couple hours away from me.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on Lyft or something.
Yep. All right, cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thoughts for the week, for the day?
I'll just reiterate the quote from earlier when we were talking about stereotypes and all that. That moment in between reaction and response, you have a choice to make. Choose a good one.
Yep. My thought is mostly whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, it's always a good one.
I mean, looking at this stuff, it's, it's like, holy cow, how am I going to do this? And then I look at my options and I realize this is all stuff I can do.
Yep.
And so it really just boils down to, okay, I can do this. All I have to do is execute.
Mine is be a gentleman or a lady.
You can't be both?
A good human.
Well, let's not get into that.
Let's go with be a human.
I got nothing. I'm not gonna.
Come
up with something here. So.
We're going out on a down note from Josh.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
Go watch Scottish elevator videos.
And Scottish Siri.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right. See ya.
See you next week. Yep.